Hawks, Hoops, Tawk, and Squawk. A sensational salute to the late, great Ike Richman, who to this day is still the greatest owner in Philadelphia 76ers history. Now, I'm doing this video mainly because a lot of the fans don't even know who Ike Richman is, especially the younger generations. Like all the OGs, maybe the 50 and 60 and over fans might know about Ike Richman, but majority of the fan base doesn't even know who that is. So, enter the Hawk to give you a little history lesson of Ike Richman. Now, in 1963, Ike Richman and Irv Kosloff, a lot of people know more about Irv Kosloff because he was the surviving owner who eventually sold the Sixers to Eugene Fitz-Dixon in 1976. But in 1963, Ike Richman and Irv Kosloff, two South Philadelphia businessmen, purchased the Syracuse Nationals from Danny Biasone and moved the franchise to Philadelphia, returning professional basketball back to the city of brotherly love. Because prior to that, Philadelphia's original team, the Warriors, following the 1961-62 season, they relocated to San Francisco, and they've been on the West Coast since then. But anyway, Philly was without a professional basketball team for the 1962-63 season. However, Ike Richman and Irv Kosloff, they brought pro hoops back to Philly, and the rest is history. Now, Ike Richman was more so the hands-on owner, while Irv Kosloff was like in the background. Ike was more a basketball fan. And one of the first moves he made was trading for Wilt Chamberlain, bringing Wilt back to Philly following a disappointing half a season with the San Francisco Warriors. That was Ike's mission from the get-go, to return pro basketball to Philly, along with the game's biggest star and a fellow Philly native. Prior to that, the Sixers, their first season in Philadelphia, they were a playoff team, but they weren't a contending team. However, in the 64 draft, the Sixers drafted Lucius Jackson, who will become the game's first true power forward. Then that following winter, they traded for Chamberlain. Then that offseason, 1965, drafted Billy Cunningham out of North Carolina, a.k.a. the Kangaroo Kid. Then also traded longtime franchise player Johnny Red Kerr to the Baltimore Bullets for another Philadelphian, Wally Jones, a.k.a. Wally Wonder. So the championship core was set. You know, Hal Greer and Chet Walker were Syracuse Nationals, so they was already a part of the team when Ike and Irv purchased the franchise. Drafted Lucius Jackson and Billy Cunningham and traded for Wilt Chamberlain and Wally Jones. It's just sad that on December 3rd, 1965, Ike Richman collapsed due to a heart attack in Boston Garden, enemy territory of all places. The score was tied 13-all. Seconds prior, Ike was cheering his team on to play defense, put their hands up. Next thing, he collapsed. And then he ascended the Hoop 7, becoming the basketball guy. The Sixers found out at halftime of Ike's passing, and they went out and wiped the floor with the Celtics in the second half of that game, winning 119-103. It's just a shame that Ike wasn't here to witness his team win the championship less than 2 years later, because, man, he was a great owner, and I'm sure he would have did greater things for this franchise, and the Sixers would definitely have more postseason succession and championship hardware had it not been for Ike's untimely passing. So it was just so tragic that he was only around for 2.5 seasons of the Philadelphia 76ers tenure. But anyway, a soaring salute to him, as well as Irv Kosloff, because the two of them purchased the franchise together. Now, a lot of people blame Irv for Wilt Chamberlain going to L.A., but Ike knew when he traded for Wilt that Wilt wanted to finish his career on the West Coast. And allegedly, Wilt told Ike that he would return to Philadelphia for the rest of his prime years over the next 3 to 4 seasons, but that he wanted to retire on the West Coast. Either return to San Francisco and the Warriors, or retire as a Los Angeles Laker, which he eventually did. Now, there was a supposed deal between Wilt and Ike for Wilt to own a part of the franchise. However, there's no documents of that anywhere. It was just basically a verbal handshake agreement, which Irv Kosloff knew nothing about. So Irv wasn't about to honor a deal that he knew nothing of. Obviously, baby Ike never told Irv of his plans, or maybe he intended to. It's just that he transitioned to Hoops Heavens too soon. We'll never know. But either way, Wilt Chamberlain wasn't staying in Philadelphia past 1968. Because I see that a lot. That, Irv Kosloff's the reason Wilt Chamberlain was traded. Yeah, he didn't honor the deal, but in all fairness, Irv knew nothing about the deal. It was basically a verbal handshake agreement between Wilt and Ike never got around to tell Irv of the plans. And anyway, looking more into it, Wilt wouldn't have been able, especially back then, to assume ownership while still playing anyway. So even if Ike had never passed, or even if he did and Irv knew of and honored the deal, it wouldn't have went into effect until after Wilt retired anyway. And either way, Wilt was still going to retire on the West Coast. So that July 9th, 1968 trade to the Los Angeles Lakers, that happens one way or another. Well, either way, pretty much that trade happens either way. But shout out to Irv Kosloff, Ike Richman, Wilt Chamberlain, all reigning amongst the basketball guys in Hoops Heavens. Ike, hands down, the best owner that this franchise has ever had. You know, Irv Kosloff would own the team until 1976 when he sold the franchise to E.F. Dixon, who then owned the Sixers over the next, 76, 77, 79, over the next 5 seasons. Then in 1981, he sold to HAWKE'S, who then sold to Comcast in 1996, and now we're under this clown ownership after Comcast and sold the franchise to these bozos. But anyway, that's what makes Ike Richman even more appreciated. We ain't forget about you, Ike. The real hoops historians, the real OG 76er fans know who Ike Richman is. Definitely. So be sure to like this video, share, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more content. Let's see, anything else before I close this out? Oh, Ike Richman needs to be talked about more. You hear about Irv Kosloff? Yeah, he was the surviving owner that was there when the Sixers won the title in 1967. So, you know, I mean, it's understandable that he's more remembered. Remember, Ike passed a little over about 2.5 years after purchasing the franchise from Danny Biasone. So it's to be expected that a lot of people, especially the younger generations, don't remember who Ike Richman is. But here he is in this photo, the fellow with the glasses on, Dolph shades in the middle, signing the contract, and Irv Kosloff. May they all continue to soar amongst the basketball gods in Hoops Heaven. But anyway, Hawk out.